It was October 25th, 1944. Deep inside the massive, unmarked salt mine, beneath the Thuringian forests, the air was not stale, but thick with the metallic, acidic scent of failure. This was the true final laboratory of the Third Reich, a highly specialized unit researching ghost fuel and ghost armor. Sergeant Hans Gruber, an SS guard, stood outside a massive steel blast door, his orders absolute: seal it. Inside, Dr. Werner Volkov, the chief engineer, was frantically recording his final data. Volkov knew the research had reached a catastrophic tipping point, causing unforeseen biological and structural instability. His ultimate betrayal was not against the Führer, but against humanity. He couldn't destroy the knowledge, so he chose to corrupt it. As the final command echoed, Gruber slid the massive bolts shut. Then came the terrifying silence, followed by a faint, desperate sound. Not an explosion, but a rhythmic, frantic hammering from deep inside the sealed cavern. It was the sound of Volkov and his team, alive, trapped by Hitler's absolute order to ensure the final secret was buried alive. This ghost lab became a tomb, holding a doomed, terrifying secret that Germany itself feared more than any Allied bomb. The context of the Ghost Lab of '44 was the twilight of the Third Reich. By the autumn of 1944, the German war machine was crumbling on all fronts. The Soviet forces were relentlessly pushing west, and the Allies were rapidly advancing through France. With conventional victory no longer possible, the Nazi leadership, particularly Heinrich Himmler and the SS, shifted immense, desperate resources into the pursuit of Wunderwaffen, wonder weapons, and esoteric scientific projects that might, through some miracle, reverse the course of the war. The Ghost Lab was not a known facility like Peenemünde, but a top-secret, deeply buried structure concealed within a massive abandoned salt mine beneath the Thuringian forests, a location chosen for its deep geological isolation and relative safety from Allied bombing. The primary strategic purpose was absolute secrecy and preservation. The facility was designed to allow highly specialized teams to conduct research on the very fringes of physics and chemistry, specifically focusing on two key areas: enhanced composite materials, ghost armor, and novel synthetic energy sources, ghost fuel. The official workforce was minimal, a small elite team of scientists and technicians overseen by a ruthless SS detachment, but the knowledge they held was considered priceless. Unlike a standard factory, the goal here was not mass production, but a singular, desperate breakthrough. The total resource allocation was staggering, diverting critical materials away from frontline troops, illustrating the Nazi High Command's final desperate gamble, sacrificing immediate defense for the chance of a catastrophic technological advantage. The entire operation was a chilling confirmation that the Reich's ultimate focus had turned from military conquest to scientific survival, creating a physical archive for their darkest dreams. The stakes were no longer about holding territory, but about sealing away a technological terror. The internal strategy surrounding the Ghost Lab was defined by a profound terminal conflict between scientific ambition and the fear of discovery. The SS's ultimate objective was not to produce weapons on site, but to reach a critical stage of research and then, upon the inevitable collapse of the Reich, to ensure that the secrets were permanently denied to the Allies, particularly the Soviets. This led to a meticulously planned, multi-layered ghost operation. The most chilling feature was the pre-rigged explosive charges and complex sealing mechanisms built into the main access shaft, designed not to protect the lab from enemy entry, but to entomb it. The command, issued directly from Hitler's bunker through Himmler, was simple and absolute. If the lab could not be fully evacuated, the research and all personnel must be buried alive to become the ultimate, perfect archive. This created immense tension within the scientist ranks. Dr. Werner Volkov, the chief engineer, led a team that was terrified of their own discoveries. They had pushed the limits of their research too far, causing unforeseen structural instability and biological hazards within the sealed environment. This was the true lost file element, the realization that the research itself had become uncontrollable. Volkov recognized the danger the completed work posed, both to the Reich and to the world if captured. His final strategy was an act of quiet, profound resistance, a carefully planned sabotage of the final data and key materials, ensuring that even if the lab was discovered, the research would be misinterpreted, corrupted, and rendered useless. This highly classified decision, a betrayal of the Führer, transformed the scientist into the ultimate protector, using deception to neutralize the very terror he helped create. The stage was set not for a heroic defense, but for a chilling, internal sacrifice, dictated by the fear of their own creation. The terrifying reality of the Ghost Lab of 44 was revealed through the singular perspectives of those entombed within its subterranean walls. The most immediate and chilling account was that of Sergeant Hans Gruber, the SS guard tasked with executing the final absolute sealing order. Gruber, a man accustomed to the brutality of the regime, was paralyzed not by enemy fire, but by the chilling instruction to ensure the vault was sealed without opening the blast doors, trapping the scientists inside. He represented the final, ruthless phase of the Ghost operation, where human life was deemed less valuable than the preservation of a state secret. His testimony, later pieced together from fragmented wartime records, noted the unbearable tension, the sound of a metallic, rhythmic hammering beginning just moments after he engaged the final bolts, followed by an agonizing silence. This confirmed the unimaginable. The lab personnel were alive, fully aware they were being sacrificed to create a perfect, secret, lost file. A second, crucial perspective belonged to Dr. Werner Volkov, the chief engineer and accidental hero. Volkov understood the deadly nature of the research better than anyone. His work on ghost fuel, enhanced synthetic energy, had inadvertently triggered unforeseen structural instability and potential radiation leaks, proving that the weapon they sought to create was as dangerous to its creators as it was to the enemy. Volkov's conflict was terminal. He could not destroy the mountain of scientific documentation, but he could ensure it was useless. His final act, a profound, agonizing betrayal, was to meticulously corrupt the central research data and introduce fatal flaws into the key technical blueprints before the sealing. This was the ultimate classified decision, turning the expected technological victory into a chaotic, poisoned archive. He chose to save the world from his own creation, making himself and his team the necessary, silent sacrifice. The technological aspect of the lab was focused on its terrifying potential for self-destruction. The facility featured a multi-layered air filtration system and redundant power cores. Yet its most critical component was the self-sealing protocol. The design incorporated pre-rigged explosive charges intended to trigger massive geological collapse, instantly turning the entire mine segment into an unstable tomb. The failure of this protocol to fully engage immediately after the sealing was not a flaw, but a terrifying reprieve, leaving the entombed structure intact but isolated. The scientific documentation, the true prize, was organized into dozens of sealed metal canisters designed to survive nuclear-level destruction, confirming the belief of the SS that this knowledge was for a future Reich, not the dying present. The ethical nightmare of the Ghost Lab was the absolute unwritten rule. The research must survive. The researchers must not. This final directive, emanating from Himmler's inner circle, created a profound moral vacuum. The surviving scientists were terrified of their own chief engineer, Volkov, whose unusual behavior and insistence on recording excessive data hinted at his coming betrayal. The internal tension escalated into a state of paranoia, where the only goal was personal survival. A struggle that was abruptly ended by the engagement of the blast doors. This final act of state-sanctioned abandonment became a political and moral self-inflicted wound, an ultimate sign of the regime's complete disregard for human life in the service of their desperate ideology. The strategic twist lay in the location itself. The mine was selected not only for its isolation, but because it sat near a major German command communications line. The intermittent energy spikes and unexplained static caused by Volkov's experiments with the ghost fuel were routinely dismissed by German signals analysts as atmospheric interference. However, these unique signals, later catalogued by Allied intelligence as the pulse, were the true, subtle signature of the ghost operation, a classified warning sign that no one in the dying Reich had time to heed. And it was this desperate, final act of sabotage by Volkov, the engineer trapped alive, that ensured the terrifying potential of the Ghost Lab remained a permanently corrupted, silent, lost file. The terrifying climax of the Ghost Lab of 44 did not involve enemy forces. It was a self-inflicted catastrophe. The turning point occurred at 2300 hours on October 24th, 1944. Dr. Werner Volkov's team, in a desperate attempt to stabilize their ghost fuel compound, triggered a massive, unforeseen energy cascade within the deep mine. This was the moment the research crossed the line from theoretical breakthrough to uncontrollable disaster. The initial signs were terrifyingly subtle. A deep, resonant vibration that ran through the bedrock, followed by the catastrophic failure of the main ventilation system. The air quickly became toxic, saturated with the metallic, corrosive byproducts of the failed experiment. Volkov realized instantly that the contamination and the escalating instability of the facility made evacuation impossible and preservation futile. The research, the very essence of the Ghost Lab, was now a physical threat to anyone who approached it. This single event, the failed experiment, triggered the ultimate classified decision from Berlin. The lab must be instantly entombed. The order to execute the final sealing protocol reached Sergeant Hans Gruber and his SS detail at midnight. Their task was now clear. They had to ensure the research was denied to the world, even if it meant sacrificing their own personnel. This created the ultimate moral crisis for the SS detail. As the massive steel blast doors began their slow, grinding descent, Volkov and his chief assistant, realizing the fate awaiting them, initiated their counter-operation. Volkov's final act of defiance was a desperate, systematic corruption of the lost files. He used the remaining functional terminal to input false data and critical errors into the core scientific documentation, scrambling the key formulas for the ghost fuel and the ghost armor. This final act of sabotage was driven by the knowledge that the complete truth was too dangerous to survive. He chose to turn his life's work into a chaotic, unusable puzzle. The moment the final bolts were engaged from the outside, the scene inside the main research chamber became a silent, isolated struggle for survival. The agonizing sound heard by Sergeant Gruber was Volkov's final, desperate attempt to communicate. A frantic, rhythmic hammering on the inner side of the steel door. A sound of human beings being abandoned by their own regime. This sound confirmed the success of the buried alive order. The ensuing hours saw the rapid onset of environmental collapse within the sealed facility. The lack of ventilation, combined with the lingering corrosive agents from the energy cascade, ensured that the Ghost Lab quickly became a lethal, self-contained tomb. The research was physically preserved, sealed within the blast-proof canisters, but the human element, the only people who truly understood the corrupted data, was eliminated. The long-term twist of this ghost operation was the selective destruction of memory. Gruber's SS detail meticulously destroyed all external records, personnel files, and construction blueprints related to the specific salt mine segment, ensuring that the Ghost Lab did not appear on any known German map. The operation was so successful that when the Allied forces swept through Thuringia, they missed the sealed entrance entirely, focusing only on the known mining and conventional storage areas. The most enduring consequence was the creation of a permanently poisoned archive, a vault filled with potentially world-altering scientific data, rendered useless by the classified decision of the chief engineer. Volkov's sacrifice ensured that the dangerous knowledge of the ghost fuel and the unstable energy required to create it would remain a permanent, unsolvable mystery. The entire facility became a memorial to a scientific ambition so terrifying that it had to be buried by the very people who created it, leaving only rumors and the silent, impenetrable steel door to mark the final secret of the Third Reich. The terminal closure of the Ghost Lab of 44 resulted in profound and enduring consequences that stretched decades beyond the collapse of the Third Reich. The immediate, terrifying outcome was the definitive proof that the regime had reached a point of strategic nihilism, where the preservation of a secret was deemed more valuable than the lives of its most elite scientists. The Buried Alive Command transformed the salt mine segment into a chilling, self-contained tomb, and the memory of the rhythmic hammering on the steel door became a silent, damning indictment of the regime's final cruelty. The material consequence was the successful destruction of all external blueprints and documentation relating to the lab. A ghost operation executed so flawlessly by Gruber's SS detail that when Allied forces swept through Thuringia, the location of the mine segment remained completely undiscovered. The lab became a true lost file, vanishing from the maps and historical record entirely. The long-term impact centered on the corrupted archive. The vast quantity of scientific documentation sealed within the blast-proof canisters was eventually recovered decades later during clandestine explorations. However, the discovery yielded a permanent puzzle. Researchers found themselves facing mountains of data, complex formulas for ghost fuel and ghost armor. But the critical sections, the very calculations needed to stabilize the energy sources, were riddled with errors and internal contradictions. This confirmed the ultimate success of Dr. Werner Volkov's final, desperate act of sabotage. He ensured that the terrifying potential of the research was permanently neutralized, turning the archive into a poisoned well of information. The knowledge was preserved, but its application was rendered impossible, preventing a potentially devastating technological fallout decades later. Volkov's final, agonizing decision was the true climax of the lab's story. The historical lesson derived from the Ghost Lab was the chilling confirmation that the most dangerous secrets of the war were those that Germany itself sought to destroy. The existence of the facility revealed the profound depth of the Nazi obsession with unconventional science and their complete disregard for ethical boundaries. The intermittent pulse, the unique energy spikes caused by Volkov's experiments, remained an unexplained historical anomaly for years, serving as the only true subtle signature left behind by the ghost operation. The entire incident became a required case study in counterintelligence, teaching that the greatest threat to post-war security was not the discovery of enemy assets, but the discovery of enemy assets designed to be unusable or dangerous. The sealed mine segment stands today as a profound, silent monument to a scientific ambition so terrifying and self-destructive that the ultimate victory belonged to the scientist who chose to bury his own work, safeguarding the world from the very terror he helped create.